Greetings, Uncle Traveller Matt here, reporting back a day late, actually, on my holiday in Italy. I'm actually in France now, but I'm going to be talking about in Italy, and I'm going to be talking about day 5. So we woke up late because we'd had that really long day in Monte Carlo, and then Genoa. We'd had those like an hour and a half or so waiting around in Genoa station, so really long wait there, and got back very late. The metro wasn't working. Later found out the metro doesn't work at all in Turin. The whole thing's closed, but I thought because we got back so late had to close, and got a taxi back knackered. So woke up late in Pierluigi's apartment, chilled out a bit. And then Pierluigi came down with his daughter. Her name is Irene, and we went out for ice cream in the centre of Turin. Turin, again, I've said this before, it's a city that's really exceeded my expectations. It's really beautiful, and you never hear it talked about, but it's incredible. We went back to the main central area again, and there was a square with 2 matching churches that we'd not been in before, so we kind of came out of the car park there and then went to a square behind that was a very kind of rationalist fascist era square. I thought it was quite something, and the ice cream place was on there. We had this ice cream with them, and then we walked together to a church. I forget who the church was dedicated to, but he was apparently a very popular priest in the 16th century. Again, big gold Baroque church, not my kind of thing, but still very beautiful. And we're having a chat. His daughter's really smart for her age. She speaks a number of languages. Just come back from cycling around the Ring of Kerry Island, and she really wants to pursue her languages, but also maybe a career on stage. So yeah, that was quite interesting. And then we said goodbye to them and went into the Egyptian Museum. Now, Turin's Egyptian Museum is meant to be the second best in the world after the one in Cairo. I don't know about that because I'm not an expert on Egypt, but it really was an incredible place. Massive, all ancient Egyptian stuff. So you start at the bottom, and it's the story of the museum and how it came about. Basically, the House of Savoy bought a lot of Egyptian artifacts, and the reason they did it at the beginning is they had one artifact. They had I think it was an Egyptian papyrus, but they also had this statue with a load of weird symbols on it that they found, and they thought it was Egyptian, and that there was an Isis temple in Turin, and basically they moved the capital to Turin, and so this was to give the capital legitimacy to say it's actually a really ancient Egyptian city, and here's the proof there's a statue of Isis from an Egyptian temple, because the statue wasn't of Isis at all. It was probably some other goddess, and the writing on it wasn't hieroglyphics, it was Kabbalistic writing. So unbelievable. So starts off with how the museum was formed. Obviously they wanted this founding myth for Turin, which fitted in Egyptians, and then after that they just wanted to acquire Egyptian artifacts. And and it was that era when everybody was acquiring Egyptian artifacts, and the royal family of Savoy had a lot of money, so they acquired a lot of artifacts. And then we went up to the top of the museum and went down through the eras of Egyptian history, and it was really interesting because I've never seen stuff divided that way before. And so it started off with the pre-dynastic, where they were buried in pits, like all kind of crouched together, very simple, and going through all the different dynasties. And I've always found like Egyptian culture to be a bit confusing. There's too much going on there, and I still haven't got my head around it, but it's helped. And it was good though. At the end we were knackered, like I'd kind of been museumed out even by that one museum. So we went to a cafe, had some amazing, like it was like a bakery. It was like the Italian equivalent of Greg's, but it was 10 times better. We had some amazing pizzas and pastries and stuff, and that was the only meal we ate all day actually. And then we went down to see this tower that's very famous. I don't know the name of it, but I'll put it in the blurb. But apparently, I think it was built for a great exhibition or something. And then what we decided to do, well, what Thomas wanted to do is get one of these like electric bikes to go back to the apartment. I was going to take the tram and the bus, and he took me into it, but then it was like really stressful because I don't like apps. I don't understand them. I don't get how they work, and they just drive me up the wall, and I'm feeling old because it was like, because I haven't got like data, so we got two phones, and we finally managed to set it up on one of these, and then it wouldn't let us take two bikes out. You could only take one bike out, so then we had to set it up on another phone. You just and you had to use a different bank card. It was just fucking horrible. But we did do it in the end, and although I was really stressed, I did apologise afterwards, because I have to say it was quite fun just riding these bikes through the streets of Turin back to Pierluigi's apartment, where we then just chilled out for the rest of the day. I wrote an article, which was good, and we also watched a film, Catch Me If You Can, which I've seen before, but it's a very, very good film. So that's that. And then went to bed because, well, today was a big drive. But that's the story for today. Uncle Travelling Matt. Keep travelling.